Jacob Riis was a Danish-American social documentary photographer during the Gilded Age in American history. Since he is a social documentary photographer, or a muckraker, lots of his works can be considered ethically evaluative as it forces the reader to question historical choices and situations. His most famous work is a journal titled How the Other Half Lives, which focuses on the poor people of New York City and their lifestyle living in the horrible and unsanitary slums. The Gilded Age was during the late 1870s and continued up until the early 1900s. It was a period of seemingly great prosperity, but at the expense of the everyday man. Reese hoped to uncover the truth of the time period leading to his work with photography. This photograph, titled 5 Cents a Spot, was taken in 1888 and is one of the most famous of Reese's works. Reese went to a slum in Bayard in the middle of the night and used a gun-like device that created what is considered today a flash. This photograph utilizes a head-on perspective in order to situate the audience as if they were in the slum itself. And though unintentional, since it was the only method of photography available at the time, the black and white composition has a twofold effect. The first is depicting the subject as almost backwards, like and archaic compared to modern standards, demonstrating how behind and unadvanced their lifestyle was, and the second was to become more powerful as time progresses, since more people are familiar with colorized photos. The black and white composition also evokes the sense of dread that his subjects were feeling during that time. But particularly, the method this photo was taken is what provides it the most power. There was no setup, no posing, no time to make a well-shot photo. It is simply raw and unfiltered, which many people seem to have grasped at the time, as it led to increased awareness of how bad the slum's conditions were to those in the middle class. To me, Reese's works make me feel guilty of being unappreciative of how fortunate I am to have the life that I do. Most of the people he chose to subject in his photos were born into their life of poverty, as can be seen in this photo taken in 1889 entitled Street Arabs in Night Quarters, which featured 3 children resting at the bottom of the building. The overhead perspective reflects the children's helplessness, as there's nothing they can really do to overcome their poverty. At that age, I was lucky to never even come close to experiencing that lifestyle, but I never thought much of it. Photos like these help to remind me that I have a duty to help those who are less fortunate because I have opportunities that they do not, and I must use those opportunities in service of others. Reese's work changed my perception of photography by showing how powerful photography can be. I always assumed that when people say photos are moving or inspiring, they were just trying to be sophisticated and analyze something that really had little meaning. But after spending time looking at photos that actually changed how people saw each other and society as a whole, it just made me pause and think about it. Maybe it has something to do with the way that the modern view of photos as just capturing memories to look at later without much care as to giving them a personality or further purpose. Either way, Reese's photos have made me appreciate powerful photography more.